Well, okay, y'all, this is a sad sight. This is my last piece of sandwich bread. So, guess what I'm gonna be making today? Okay, so I told you I'm out of sandwich bread, so I'm just gonna kind of walk you through what I do. It's not difficult at all, but I'm gonna start out with, I have right here some honey and warm water and yeast, and it's been sitting for about 5-6 minutes, maybe a little longer. As you can see, it's good and active. I've got my mixer set up with the dough hook on it, okay? And I'm gonna take my yeast mixture and I'm going to just pour it right in my bowl. I can give you the exact measurements. They'll be on my blog, cookitfor2.com. At my website, you can find the recipe, the full recipe there. And it's really simple. Once that rests, put it in your bowl. Then we're just gonna add all the other ingredients and we're gonna mix it up. So I have right here 4 tablespoons of butter, which is softened because you want it to incorporate really well in this. I've got a little more than a half of a tablespoon. I'll share with you the recipe where I got my recipe from, but I like a little bit more honey and a little bit more salt in mine. Her recipe calls for, I think, a half a tablespoon, and I do a little bit more than that. I just like a little bit more salt. Okay, we added that in. Now we have 4 cups of flour that we're gonna add in. And I'll probably add that a little bit at a time as I mix it. Okay, I turned the camera around just for a little bit because I did want to share something with you before I go on. I definitely need to give credit where credit is due, because when I started on my sourdough journey, I had no idea what I was doing and I was really intimidated. I don't know why, but I was intimidated by the sourdough, like, oh, I'll never be able to do it. Well, I happened to find Farmhouse on Boone. I will leave a link in the description of the video, but Farmhouse on Boone, and it is a lady named Lisa. She has 8 children, and she is the sourdough queen in my books. And she made this, it just clicked in my head. Like when I watched her, the way she did it, the way she explained it, it just made sense to me. And so this recipe that I'm doing, this actually is her recipe. Like I said, you know, I've added a little bit more, and occasionally, I may change a few of the ingredients, but the basic recipe, it comes from her. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to her, to Lisa at Farmhouse on Boone, because she is awesome. Check her website out. She has family of 10, and my goodness, like, I can't even imagine what it would be like. Like, I cook for 2 and it overwhelms me sometimes. She cooks for 10. And she does sourdough just about every day. So if you're intimidated or you feel like, oh, you're just not sure about it, go check her out. If you're a person who likes really precise instructions and measurements and stuff like that, maybe she's not for you, but that's what I love. I'm just like a pinch and go girl, so I love her. I love her style. And you know what? That's what it's all about. You know, you just watch different people. That's what's so great about YouTube and social media, because you can just jump on there. You can watch little bits or pieces or the whole thing of certain people, and you pick up, you learn from each person, and then you can put it all together and you can make something beautiful and just be so proud of yourself when you see how this sandwich bread turns out. I mean, it's amazing, and it makes you feel like, woo, you really did something. So again, I just wanted to let you know where this recipe came from, give a shout out to her, and I will put her link in my description because she's awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for all of your help. Now, I'm gonna get back to the recipe. Okay, so here we are back to the recipe. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put, it's 4 cups of flour. And now I'm using an organic, all-purpose, unbleached flour. It doesn't have to be organic, but it definitely needs to be unbleached. I use King Arthur. That's just my favorite flour. And I normally I get it wherever I find it the cheapest. Wherever it's on sale, that's where I get it from. Now, here is my sourdough starter. She had been in the fridge. I pulled her out last night. I fed her, and then it's about 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning. This is what she looks like. So she definitely is ready to go. And I'm gonna give her a good stir. Okay, so gave her a good stir. Now, what I'm gonna do is, this is the last ingredient for my bread, is I'm gonna take 1 cup of my sourdough starter, and I like to do a really full as I can get that measuring cup, and I'm gonna pour it right into all of those ingredients, and we're gonna get this mixing. All right, that's what it looks like. Got it all down in there. Now we're gonna lower our hook, lock it in place, and we're gonna let this, before I turn this on, I'll go ahead and tell you, we're gonna let this go. I'm gonna let it mix and knead on its own, and it's probably gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes, okay? So I'm not gonna film that whole thing, but I'll show you little bits as we go along. But it's probably gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes. So this is what it looks like when we get started, okay? I'm gonna turn my mixer on low, and I'm gonna let it stay on that speed till that flour gets a little bit more incorporated, and then I'll push it up probably 1 more, and then I'm just gonna let it do its thing for, like I said, it's gonna be about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like, how you know when it's ready to come out. This is what it's doing now. So if this is the first time that you make this, then you can kind of have an idea, like, don't freak out. That's how it's doing its thing. It's actually got it mixed up, and now it's starting the kneading process. So it's gonna look kind of funny for a while, but it's okay. Just let it do its thing. Okay, now you can see how it's not coming up out of the top of the bowl. Now it's more like condensed down in the bottom of the bowl, and it's just, now it's kneading it really well down there, and we're gonna let it do that for a little while. Okay, another thing that I wanted to point out, because these were some struggles that I had when I first started making it. A lot of recipes will tell you when the dough starts to, you know, not stick to the sides of the bowl, then it's ready, but it's not always. A lot of times mine, it's not sticking to the side of the bowl just like right now, but it is not ready. So again, you just have to know your dough and you know, check it and do the window pane test on it, which I'll try to show you what that is when the time comes. But that's a really sure way to tell and to know, until you learn it, if your dough is ready or not to quit kneading it. Okay, I'm going to try to show you this window pane test, and this may not work for everybody, but it does help me. So what you do is, you're just going to take a little ball, you know, of your dough, stop your mixer, take a little ball of your dough, get it rounded out. Okay, then you're going to take it and you just kind of smush it flat. Okay, then you're going to stretch it. And what you want to do is, see, as I'm stretching it, I can't see through it. Okay, but it's tearing. So you want to be able to stretch this until you can see through it. It's thin enough that you can see through pieces of it, but it doesn't tear, okay? That's a good way to know that your dough is ready. So obviously this dough is not ready yet. So I'm gonna put it back in and get the mixer going. Okay, we're gonna do the window pane test again. Got a little piece of the dough. I'll press it out. Okay, we'll pull and we'll see how it's looking. Still can't really see through it. Now, if you hold it up to the, if you hold it up to the light, it's not really, I don't know that, yeah, you can see that. See how you can see through it, but it's just now started to tear, but it's because I'm holding it out so much. So that's what I'm trying to show you. So what I'm gonna do is, this is just about ready. I'm gonna put it back in just for maybe just a few minutes, and then I'll stop it because it should be just about perfect by then. Now that little technique, you may not like it and whatever, but that really helps me until you kind of learn. Like once you see it's doing right, then you can feel the dough, you can look at the dough, watch how it does in the mixer, and the next time you may not have to do that. But if you ever are in question, all you have to do is just check it, and usually that never fails. All right, this should be about done, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. All right, now we're gonna take the dough out. Like I said, pay close attention to how the dough feels, what it looks like. It feels really, really good. It almost feels like a Play-Doh to me. That's kind of the texture that I think of. But what you want to do is just kind of, shape it into a pretty little bowl. You want it to be smooth. See how smooth it is on top? That's what it looks like on the bottom. But you want to shape it into a little ball or a big ball. Okay, and then you're going to take this. I already have a bowl that I put some olive oil in and a paper towel. I took the paper towel and just wiped around to get the excess oil out, but you want to have it oiled down a little bit so that it doesn't stick. So what you're going to do is take the bottom side, put it down in your bowl, okay? And you're going to take some kind of a little tea towel, a light towel. You can take saran wrap. You just don't want anything that's tight fitting. You want it to be able to grow because this dough is going to rise. This is what's called like a bulk rise, I think. So you're going to put your little towel on there, and you're going to put this in a warm place, like maybe on top of your stove if it's not on, or on top of your refrigerator, maybe even just in your house if you have a really warm house. Our house is not warm. We like it cold, so I have to find warm places to put mine. This is gonna sit, and it's gonna need to rise for about 1 to 3 hours. It just kind of depends on how cold or how warm your house is. So we're just gonna let it go, and you can just do something else and come back and check on it. And when it has doubled in size, you see what size it looks like now? When this has doubled in size, then it means it is ready to put in the pans and bake it. Okay, I couldn't wait to show y'all this because my bread has really only not even been rising 2 whole hours, but I put it on top of the stove and I want to show you what it looks like. Wow! Look at that! Oh my gosh! So now what you're gonna do is, I've taken a loaf pan and I've put butter on the inside. You can use olive oil if you would rather do that. I put butter. So now what you're gonna do is, you're gonna take your dough out. Dough out, and you're going to shape it into like a rectangle. Okay, it doesn't have to be like perfect or anything, but what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to roll it up, kind of pinch the ends in. What you want to do is you're just wanting it to get into the shape of the loaf so that you can put it in your loaf pan. Okay, so now we are going to put this in our loaf pan, and we're gonna let this sit. I like to kind of push mine out to so it gets good in the corners, and we're gonna cover this up again just like we did in the bowl. We're going to cover this, set it back in a warm place again, and we're going to let this rise for about 30 minutes, and then it'll be ready to put in the oven. Okay, so I'm going to let you see. La, da, 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 da. There's the bread. That's what it looks like. Okay, now this next step is optional, but I like to take an egg and I like to just beat it up a little bit because I like to spread this on top of my bread. Like I said, this is optional. You do not have to do this. I like to do it because it helps it to get a good crust, and also it makes it really glossy and shiny. It helps it to brown better. So I like to rub this on mine. But again, your kitchen, you can do what you want, and you can do this or you can skip it. It will not affect your bread as far as the taste or anything like that. But I think it does look just a little bit prettier when you do add the egg wash. I like to get it like on the sides good, because it's gonna overlap as it cooks, because it's gonna get even larger as it cooks. So, doesn't take much, just get a good coating on there. All right, that's it. Now I'm gonna put it in the oven and let it bake for about 45 minutes. Make sure though, probably after about 30 minutes that you check it, because everybody's oven is different. So make sure you check it, because after all your hard work on this, you do not want this to burn, you know, or to get too brown. So I would make sure I start checking it about 30 minutes or so. Okay, it's a little up close of how it looks with the egg wash on it. Now it's going in the oven. Okay, look how beautiful that is. Okay, this cooked in my oven for about 40 minutes at 375. You know, that's why I said always check. Sometimes it takes 45 minutes, but today it was done in 40 minutes. I was turning this around here so you can see. That's the other side. Now you can see how glossy that is. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And it's got a good crust on it. So I'm gonna let it cool for a little bit in this pan, and then I will flip it out of this pan onto a cooling rack and let it cool completely on the cooling rack. Okay, one last look. Here is the finished product outside of the loaf pan. I'm giving you a view of all sides of it. Okay, there's that side. I don't want to slice it just yet because it did just come out of the oven and it needs to sit a while before we slice it, but I will show you what it looks like on the inside.